Let's dive right in. So we left off last time talking about being in, there being this clearing. We mentioned yoyu, which is spaciousness in Korean. And the fact that when you feel spaciousness or you feel lack of spaciousness, like the world is crashing in on you, that presupposes some concept of space. In being in time, that's called an extensional expression of space. Not actual physical space, but the ability to have things in a space. And so think of it as your disclosive power making being in the world possible. And when we're in the world, we're already in the world. We're not somehow here trying to figure everything out, having to enumerate everything. Things aren't atomic. Things are blending into one another. And so from a transformer architecture perspective, this speaks to how embeddings and how hidden states are finding expression, projecting language into a vector space that's extremely high dimensional. So let's just take a look at what that looks like from a RAG perspective. We can jump into, first off, when we're talking about token or language. So what is RAG exactly? Here we can see this is made up of 4 tokens. And so when you're going into a transformer, so when you have data like data visualization empowers users to, the words are being tokenized, and then the tokens are then through an ID, then associated with a randomized set of numbers that are along a large number of indices and a vector. And then these are routinely updated over the process of pre-training. Now, you can see here there's token embedding, there's positional encoding, so that's the data comes before visualization. These things are typically somehow integrated. So there are various ways of doing that in transformers, but in the Attention All You Need paper, they just added them element-wise. And in it goes. Now, one of the outputs, so obviously here you can see next token, but one of the outputs of transformers can be something called a hidden state. And in the hidden state, you can have a vector representation of the words collectively. So that would be what you're essentially comparing here in RAG. So when you have a query, what is retrieval augmented generation, please, you can see that the query itself comes out of the transformer as a vector where that language is projected into vector space thanks to the billions of parameters that are essentially crunching this expression into a space that can be relative to language generally. And we can use cosine similarity or other functions to say, like, how similar is this line? It's not really a line since it's so high dimensional, but this vector, how similar is it to other vectors? And then we can use similarity to essentially express proximity. And so there's this sort of concept of space. Here you can see this chunk here with 39 characters. There are these different chunks it's being compared to. And then we can see the similarity score here. So this one's 0.811. Cosine similarity is between -1 and 1. So that's really high similarity. And then it looks like it diminishes as you scroll down. So semantically, syntactically, and through other kinds of dimensions expressed through the heads of transformers, we're essentially we're projecting language into a space. So if we go back to being in, there's a sense of spaciousness where when you're being alongside things in the world, the things in the world themselves are extremely high dimensional. Last time we talked about a horse and how high dimensional that is. Let's scroll down because I know we're running out of time. And to this section here where he talks about the chair can never touch the wall. What he's speaking to here is encounterability, that something can't be encountered if it doesn't have spatiality, if it doesn't have the disclosive power to be in the world, sharing space with others or other things. And so in Being in Time, he speaks about how that really makes us different. And by us, I mean, you could say humans, but you could say really anybody with a clearing and a there. We'll stop there and we'll pick back up and try and get through this section. There's so much to talk about.